So, you know, the media's reporting on this. People were like shocked, stunned. What? Like, they just couldn't wrap their head around this. Who do you believe? So Oscar's ex-girlfriend, gotta love an ex-girlfriend because, you know, she's gonna have the truth. Her name was Samantha Taylor. Now, she would later testify that Oscar was quick to anger and that he would often scream at her and her family. She even went on to say that Oscar cheated on her multiple times, and he never went anywhere without his gun. Now, does that make him a murderer? No, but doesn't look good, right? But then she said, this is the ex-girlfriend, she said that there were a couple of times that he had drawn his gun and fired it out of anger on more than one occasion. So I wonder, this is like a side note and has nothing to do with anything, but I wonder what he was so mad about. Like, he had such a loving mom. Usually, like, when you have a shit mom or something, you like, you know, it kind of, this whole anger thing makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but you get what I'm saying. Like, but he had such a loving mom, so I don't know. What am I getting at? I don't know. It's just like different, you know? So Riva's family was convinced that like the killing was not an accident. And, you know, they weren't the only ones who felt this way. Again, the media was all over this, and the public opinion was divided. Some people truly believed that, like, you know, well, they saw Oscar as like a tragic figure, a man who just, he made a terrible mistake in the heat of the moment, trying to protect his home and his loved one. And then others believed that he was like this cold-blooded killer who had finally just like snapped and shown his true colors. So on March 3rd, 2014, Oscar Pistorius, his trial started, and it was at the Pretoria High Court. So the prosecution was arguing that the killing was premeditated. They presented evidence from neighbors. Now, these neighbors said that they heard a domestic squabble around 3 a.m. followed by gunshots. There were some that even said that they heard a woman scream before the gunshots had fired. They heard screaming. Now, Oscar's defense argued that it was actually him screaming, and he was screaming at the intruder to, like, I don't know, stop or something. But Oscar's team was like, yeah, it was him. He was the one screaming. Now, the trial, it was a media sensation. I mean, every detail was scrutinized, every piece of evidence dissected. People just really didn't know what to believe. Prosecutors said that morning, Oscar, he had time to put on his prosthetic legs. And to them, this was showing the court that he was not in a hurry, as he said he was, but rather that he was cool and collected as he went to kill his girlfriend. Now listen, this was like the big debate. If he put on his legs, to them, this meant that it was premeditated. If he didn't put on his prosthetic legs, then that meant he was truly like in a hurry, just like trying to confront the killer or the person who broke in. So they were focusing hard on this part. The defense, they even brought in the bathroom door as evidence to show the angle of the bullet holes. And by these angles, it proved that Oscar was not wearing his prosthetic legs, meaning it was not premeditated. They were arguing that, you know, without his prosthetic legs, he was very vulnerable, and which explained like his panicked response. The prosecution, they also pointed out that Riva had brought her phone with her into the bathroom. Remember, it's like 3 a.m. or something like that. So she brought her phone with her into the bathroom. They believed, or they were saying, that she was trying to call someone to like come and pick her up, call someone for help, just call someone. The defense came back and said, you know, she's just a young woman. She's just attached to her phone like everyone else. Like, that's why she brought her phone with her. I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm trying to think about it. Because, like, I get it, like, being attached to your phone and, like, bringing it with you everywhere. But, like, if you got up from sleep, let's say, to go to the bathroom, the first thing, I don't know about you guys, but I know I don't grab my phone if I've woken up from sleep to go to the bathroom. I take my phone if, like, I'm being shady, if I'm trying to low-key call someone or text someone and not get caught, I'll lock myself in the bathroom. I don't do that now, but like I used to, you know. You'd go in the bathroom, lock the door, and be like, fuck. Right? But we don't know. We don't know like what she was doing. But again, Oscar's team, they were like, Oscar and Riva, they had just bought each other presents recently. Remember, it was Valentine's Day. They had just bought each other presents. So they were in a good spot in their relationship. They got presents. And therefore, Oscar did not plan the murder. Presents. That's why. Which might be true. I don't know. The defense countered by saying that Oscar's actions were those of a terrified man. A man who felt he had no choice but to defend himself and his loved one. They argued that Oscar was suffering from generalized anxiety disorder, which made him hypervigilant. There we go. Also prone to panic. Therefore, this is why he reacted the way he did. Side note, my opinion, I don't know. If you are trying to protect your loved one, wouldn't your first response to be like when you heard someone come in, you wake up, you look over, is my loved one there? If they are, and I'm hearing a noise, then I react. If I wake up because I hear something, would your response be to just go and not look? Right? That part doesn't make sense. And then they're saying like, look, just because he didn't have his prosthetic legs on, it meant that it wasn't premeditated. But like, you know, I don't know. Maybe he thought that part through. Maybe he's like, hey, if I don't put on my prosthetic legs, then I can be like, I didn't know. I'm helpless. Just the point of him waking up and reacting and not checking her in the bed, to me, that is suspicious. Okay, that's questionable. That